with former Toronto Blue Jay Gregg Zaun. Greg, great time to be a Blue Jay fan, off to the World Series. Your initial reaction when it happened?
Not surprised. I picked the Jays to win the American League. I'm not sure what exactly the prize is that they're winning because now they got to go face my Dodgers, and they're on a different planet. But hell, this has got to be exciting. I know if history serves itself right and it repeats itself, we're going to see a huge spike in enrollment in youth baseball here in Canada. It's big, and you go all over town. I've been restaurants, bars to watch the games. I don't have cable TV in my house. I go out to watch a ball game. It's wall-to-wall Jays fans. Everybody's excited all over, from Kelowna to Kamloops. All my friends in Toronto are calling me saying, "Hey, I got an extra ticket for the World Series. If you want to pay $1,000, come on out." I'm like, "Yeah, okay, let me get right there." But no, it's really exciting. And I'm excited for all of my Canadian friends, the people that I used to work with, ex-teammates like Pete Walker coaching with the Blue Jays. Got to be excited, and they've got as good a chance as anybody to knock off the Dodgers.
You mentioned that. Obviously, the Dodgers, huge favorites. Star power galore. But, that's why they play the game. How does Toronto win this series?
Well, they're going to have to get after some pretty nasty pitching, and that's the thing. I look at it this way, and it's not a knock against the Jays. If the Dodgers beat themselves this series, the Jays could walk away with the trophy. If they don't, if the Dodgers go out and do what they're going to do, it's going to be a rough series. These guys, you saw what they did to Milwaukee. Milwaukee, a very similar team to Toronto, the way they grind out at bats, but good pitching always shuts down good hitting. Go back to the '88 series with the LA Dodgers, Oakland A's. My Uncle Rick was catching for the Dodgers. Everybody thought the Dodgers had no chance, especially with all that power with McGuire, Canseco, Eckersley, closing out ball games. You're right. That's why they play the games. But good pitching will always shut it down. And, the Jays are going to have to get better than they've gotten out of their bullpen. You mentioned the star power. That lineup is deep. That's a deep Dodger lineup, and their starting pitching is devastating. And, it's one of those things where, people are going to say, well, they're buying it. They've got all this money. Well, you got to build it before you can buy it. And, the Jays are doing that. They've gone out. They've made a commitment to the fans, to the team. They spent the money. This year they had one of the top 10 payrolls in the game. Look at the results they're getting. So this should be a great series. Unfortunately, the travel is going to suck. It's going to be a long, and a lot of flights, but this should be exciting.
Us in the media like to use the word momentum. There's 4 days between for the Jays, 8, I think, for the Dodgers. Is there any momentum going into this?
I don't think so. I think the only thing you have to ask yourself is, who stayed ready. There's obviously going to be some guys that are nursing some bumps and bruises, some aches and pains, but you get past a couple of days off without baseball activity, and then you start getting rust. Hopefully, for the Dodgers' sake, they were able to, stay sharp. Maybe some, live BP, maybe some inter squad a little bit. You try to do those kind of things without getting anybody hurt, and then of course the Blue Jays had a huge wave of emotion. The big home run by George Springer to catapult them into the World Series. Tough to maintain that when you're not moving and when you're not playing competitively. So I think they're all being equal. They're going to start off, both of them, with no momentum going into this series other than the obvious emotional game one of the World Series.
Talk about pressure. You played in the World Series. You won a World Series with the then Florida Marlins back in '97. Talk about the pressure and the elevated, or how you have to elevate your game, or can you, from an ALCS?
Well, for me, it was never about elevating my game. It was maintaining. I think a lot of guys, a lot of players, in and out of the playoffs, depending on, big moments in regular season games, they overemphasize the importance of that moment. The moments are never more important. It's the act of swinging a bat. It's point A to point B with your barrel. It's throwing strikes with your fastball. It's, can you maintain your composure? Can you understand that the act of playing the game doesn't change no matter what the situation, whether it's the first inning of a regular season game or seventh inning of a Game 7 of the World Series. You still have to go out and execute. It's the guys that can control their heart, control their emotions, and understand that they got to go out there and do their job. Point A to point B, keep it simple.
Like making a 5-foot putt the first day of the Masters, or to win the championship on the final hole.
It doesn't change. It's point A to point B.
Key for the Blue Jays, Vladdy, or is there something else? Is it pitching? Is it Vladdy? Is it Bo coming back?
It's the entire roster. They're going to need the entire team. Really good pitching, good scouting. They can identify if you're a one-trick pony, they'll figure out a way to counter it. So if Vladdy was their only weapon and he's not, that's a deep lineup. Those guys grind out ABs, dangerous from 1 to 9. I'm not going to say they're all going to take you deep, but they're going to grind out at bats. They're going to set the table. They know their roles. They know what they do. They don't strike out a whole lot. When you strike out, you don't put any pressure on a defense. Those guys put pressure on the defense. They're going to have to continue to be themselves. You go back and you look at game 1, game 2 of the ALCS. The Jays were not approaching their at-bats the way the Jays had approached their at-bats all season. They get into games 3, 4, 6, and 7, and that's exactly what they did. They were relentless, and they waited for a crack. They took advantage of, leadoff walks, especially leadoff walks in shutdown inning situations where the Mariners needed to get a 0 up after they score. They go out, they walk a leadoff guy, and all of a sudden the floodgates open. Those are the kind of moments that the Jays have taken advantage of all year long. They've been resilient. They're going to have to continue to be that. Prediction? Well, I don't want death threats here in Canada. I bleed Dodger blue. I'm not going to apologize for it. I think even Canadians can understand rooting for your hometown club. I'm just rooting for a competitive series. I don't want to see what happened to the Brewers happen to the Blue Jays or the Dodgers for that matter. I think everybody in the game would appreciate 7 very hard-fought games, very close games. Probably not reality, but that's what I'm rooting for.